Okay. I've been pretty nervous about doing this. I'm like, I don't feel like getting up. I'm tired. But like, this information has like just come to me. And I'm like, I want to share it. Oh, geez. One of the babies. But, this is always what happens. This is why I always like tell people, like, whatever information you want to know, seek it and you shall receive. And typically for me, it doesn't come immediately, but it does come. Um, or like a lot of the times it'll be like my intuition is trying to tell me something. And so I'll see it, I'll see it. And then like what like the ultimate like goal of that was, or one of the goals of that anyways, will come to me. But it's so interesting. I kept wondering about QR codes because I know that like the other day I was told about the Rainbow Bridge, and I'll put that link in the description and or the comments, and how light was connected to time. But like, anyways, how that's important, like how it looked. And so for some reason I was like thinking about QR codes and like what that must do to our eyes, because like if the phones can pick it up, like we're way more advanced than the phones, so we're picking up the QR codes too. And I also just felt like QR codes just kind of like became so popular out of nowhere, like they were like really pushed. And so I had to drive for hours, and so I was listening to this podcast by Flat Earth Dave, and that one went off, so I just found a random one that I hadn't watched yet. And in this one, there was this couple, and they were talking about this video about the Lego movie. And so I watched it, and the guys talked about mnemonics. Mnemonics, I think that's how you pronounce it. And I'll also include that link in the description. But he was showing like these QR code looking mnemonics in the Lego movie. And I was like, holy shit, like that's my answer right there. Like I was right. Like there is something more to that. So I'm looking on this guy's channel, and I'm like, ooh, I want to watch into this, because something else that I've been wondering about is that virus from 2020. But it's always been like something that's been like on the edge of my curiosity. I haven't really been too interested in it, because I'm super grateful for that whole time, because I know like what came of it for me. And I feel like in a way, even with all the intention of it, I feel like it just it woke a lot of people up. But I can't speak for everybody. I'll speak for myself. I'm very grateful for that time. But anyways, then he goes in the video goes into this lady, and she's talking about China and how like everybody knows what happened in 2020 supposedly started in China. And she goes into like the why. And when she explains the why, it's like, because it's connected to everything that I've been talking about, like in my personal life. Like I was literally telling my friend, like, because I went to San Antonio for a few days, and I was like, whatever they have here where I live in this Houston area, it's strong as fuck, and it like there's more of it here. I don't know if that makes sense, but it used to cause me a lot of like symptoms. Like I used to have a lot of vertigo, headaches, feeling exhausted all the time, and not a lot of other people would be like impacted by it. I know it's because of like my high sensitivity, but I would literally be at work and I'd like almost like fall because of like the like energy would be hitting me. And I know it's from what this lady is talking about in this video. But anyway, she talked about how like they first tested it out or whatever in China. And and if you don't know, I lived over there. And I remember when I was there, I was on this Zoom call with Ramona Lappin, who I always talk about. I haven't been on a Zoom call with her since I lived there, but I was on a Zoom call with her and I told her where I was, and she was like, you're there to clear the dragon lines. But she was like, you're there for this. Like, you're there for all of this, like, ascension and shit. And I knew she was, like, speaking truth, but I also didn't feel like I was, like, that important. But I remember telling my friend who I met in China, and I'm still friends with her today, and she actually texted me, like, while I was, like, setting up this recording. And I remember telling her, like, there was something in the air. Like, there was something in the air there. And I'm not going to get into too many of the details. I'll leave it at that. There was something in the fucking air. And I remember, like, how when I picked up on it, I got fed up. I got pissed. And so I laid in my bed and I, like, just saw what to do in my mind. And I guess I can describe it now. I saw, like, this, I guess, like, cliffside, and it was, like, black rock, and there was a slice in the middle, and it was opening and closing like this. And this is all in my mind. This is how I saw it. And I knew that was, like, this company that I worked for, and I was seeing the horrors of this company. Although, you know, don't get too dramatic, because there's companies here. Like, I feel like all, like, corporate places are just all, like, you know, sinister. So cool your horses. Anyways, I sealed it up with, like, gold or something. I sealed it. I sealed it. And then I did something where, like I said, this was a cliffside. I flipped it. So now it was on the ground. Like, I flipped the reality. You know how they do in movies where, like, they go through, like, a portal and they hit, like, a wall, but it turns out to be the floor? I flipped it to the floor. And I was like, you are sealed now. You're not going to open. And I focused on the company and I just shut that bitch down. Like, her voice sounded so deep and scary, but I promise I'm sweet. I was like, I shut it down. And that was me shutting it down. And when I got to work the next day, I heard that the power had gone out. I think the power was out when I got there. The power had gone out in the building. And the lady who was my boss, like, she was, like, the main boss over me and my companions, she was not there. She was sick, like, and this lady was somebody that, like, was, like, a workaholic. Like, she never missed a day. She was there early, left late. She would come even if she was sick. So that's how you know she was, like, sick. To the point where she had to leave and not be able to come back. And I want to make sure I'm saying, like, it was not my intention ever to, like, harm anybody. I didn't set the intention. What I set the intention to do was to shut down, like, that insidious energy that was happening at that company. And she was a part of it. And she was fine. She came back, you know, it was nothing too lasting. And after I did it that first day, I was shocked and I wasn't. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I knew I did it. I knew I fucking did it. I've always been strongly connected with electricity and, like, storms, like storms specifically, and, like, lightning, electricity, things like that. And anyways, after that, I would do it, like, almost every day. And of course, the lights wouldn't go out every day, but I would do it every time especially when I would go to work, I would visualize shutting the place down because it needed to end. Like, all this stuff needs to end, but that was my main focus at the time, was shutting that company down. And around this same time, I think that's when I did other stuff, but no need to focus on that. I was being told then that it was time for me to go. Like, after I did, like, that was my mission. it was time for me to go from that. And it reminds me now of like getting this information about the virus from 2020, and like what actually caused it and what actually caused it in China. I feel like there's multiple layers to it, but the one that this lady is talking about in this video, like I said, it's going to be posted below. I feel like is like the main thing, because I've been talking about this like two people, and I feel like nobody like be understanding what I'm talking about. And I'm like, but there's something that they're sending out, and it's irritating me. And whenever I leave and I go like to a different area, I can feel it like I don't have to be bombarded by this frequency, whatever they're sending out. But it reminded me when I learned this of what Ramona said about like why I was there. Like I was there to be like the dragon. I have very strong connection, in my opinion at least, to the storm dragon. And whatever that means for you, I know what it means for me. I definitely always talk about how like I do my dragon self, and I have yeah, just know I consider myself very connected to what I consider myself to be very connected to. And I feel very proud of myself. And the whole reason I wanted to share this is because I've been guided to get this like frequency blocking headband thing. I've been tottering about getting one for months now because they're expensive, but I knew it was time to get one now. But I was watching these videos of this guy, and he says it with all this fucking fear, which is why I have an issue with like a lot of these people who are doing great work. They're doing great work, and I love them for it. I'm so grateful for it. But it's always missing, not always, but oftentimes it's missing that kind of divinity to it. It's missing like the main point that I feel is like it's the main point, which is like love is like the ultimate weapon, as Darius J. Wright says. I promise you I don't mean to bring up all these people. But like you can override all of this shit because you are you're beyond. Like I don't even know how to like describe it. Like you're just fucking beyond. And that's how like when I got back from China, these energies that they're sending out, they probably increased the motherfuckers. They don't impact me as much as they used to. I don't be about to tip over. I have way more energy now, and it's because of the will of my soul. It is because of the love that my soul holds. And the more that I practice love actively within and therefore without, the more untouchable, unfuckable with that I am. And that's why I brought up all of this and this whole story about how I like shut down the power of the building. It's not to brag or anything like that. It's to say, as I've been saying in all my videos, like, I know you can do it because I did it. Like, who knows what the fuck you can do? Like, if that's what I can do, and like more than anything, that you can fucking do it. Like, you can fucking do it. Be present. Be present and be unafraid. And even if you are afraid, do that shit anyways. Which sounds so fucking easy. Like to say. It's easy to say and like harder to do, but just do it. Like in the smallest and biggest ways possible, just fucking do it. I think about myself a lot, think about myself a lot, and I was thinking about like just things about myself, and I was like, I cannot help but rebel. And that's not to say that I've been like crazy, like rebellious, like my whole life or anything like that. No. Um, I was quite fond, or I was quite fearful of authority when I was a bit younger, and preferred it. In some ways, that state of mind or state of being is still with me, and that's okay. It's something I accept about myself. But I was just thinking, like, I've always had this thing in me that's just like, no. I've just always had it. And I feel like if you're watching this, then you have it too. And the reason it's no is because you're here to be, like, you're here to return the yes. Like, you're here to be truth. You're here to be truth. I hope you can feel my energy. I just made a post on Substack and then shared the link in on my YouTube community page. It's basically about like how I'm handling the energies at this time. It feels like a portal gateway. That's what I've been seeing it in my mind as. And yeah, just keep going and like keep claiming yourself. Like, as you seek, you know, like what you seek finds you. And you're loved. What's so fucking cool is when I was in San Antonio, I was with my friend, and there was this one big ass, I guess, I don't know, I think it's a hawk. This big ass hawk that like started flying. I think it was a hawk. I don't think it was an eagle. I feel like eagles are bigger than hawks. But anyways, one of those big birds started flying, and I was like, hey, like, I know you're here for me, because I don't know if you've seen, I'm going to put the link to that video as well, but one of my videos, I'm talking about like how there's always this big ass bird that's always it always finds me, especially when I'm like somewhere I'm not usually at. They'll like come and be like, wait, are you okay? And so I was telling the bird, I was like, yeah, I'm fine, I promise you. And they were like, girl, like, I live here, I'm not here for you, like in this like little funny voice. And I was like, haha, fine. And then like 4 more of them came out of nowhere, and they were all kind of like flying above me and my friend. And I was like telling my friend, I was like, see, like I thought I was like crazy, but no, they're here. And they were literally like just right above us. And then I heard one of them be like, they wanted me to get a feather. And I was like, I'm not gonna get a feather, because if you've seen one of my other videos, I talked about how there was a feather in one of my books that I pulled from my shelf, and how I later learned that you're not supposed to pick up like random bird feathers, or maybe that's just something like they tell us so we don't, because we're supposed to. I don't know, but somebody told me that, and I just haven't been picking them up ever since. And so I was like, I'm not gonna get one, like even if you leave one. And I remember telling my friend that, and today I got fucking home, and my front door, for some reason, there was a spider's web to the left bottom, like corner of the front door. And there was a single black feather, the same color as those big birds, hanging caught in the web next to my door. And it just it just makes you know that like I'm not crazy. me finding these little proofs of like my sanity, like they're just such beautiful moments. Cause like how that happened. Um, but yeah, I feel like this is me being your feather. There's something that you know, you're not crazy, you know. I'm the feather that's caught in the spider's web next to your door saying, hey, I followed you all the way home and traveled through impossible portals just to find you and say, hey, what I said I meant, and what I meant I said, and what I said was I love you, and what I meant was I love you, and I am here. Okay. Thank you.